joining us right now, he is the guitarist and sole standing original member from Accept, still in the band to this day, who are out there touring and still making great records as well. Joining us right now, Accept guitarist Wolf Hoffmann. How are you, Wolf?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you, Eddie?
Good. Where are you? Are you in Germany?
I am in Germany in the middle of the summer festival tour, and things are going great in the fatherland.
How long have you been on the road throughout Europe? How long's the band been going there?
About 2 months, or actually a little over. This is the longest run we've ever done of festival shows. There was really a huge demand, and we played more festivals than we ever have. It's fantastic.
Are you also breaking off from the festivals and doing some of your own headline stuff, or is it just festivals for now in Europe?
Mostly festivals. We've done a few headline shows, yeah, absolutely. Because, once we're over here, we might as well play a bunch more.
So did you get to spend some time in Germany? Do you still have a lot of family there and stuff?
Yeah, I still have some family, not a lot, but absolutely, yeah. Family, Germany is still home to, I have lived in the United States for 30 years or more, so really the United States, I don't know where home is, to be honest, but I live in the States, and Germany still feels a bit like home to me, It's crazy when you have you lived in several different continents, all of a sudden you're kind of homeless. You're never really at home anywhere.
Right. But I'm sure for you, Germany, when you're there, still feels like, no matter how long you're away from it, that's still kind of home turf,
Pretty
right?
Pretty much. It is. It kind of is. Absolutely.
When Accept was starting there many, many decades ago, Wolf, what was the scene like in Germany for a metal band trying to get going? Was there a scene, or were you guys somewhat of an outlier in your area?
We were kind of an outlier, I guess. We were definitely the first metal band or the heaviest band around in those days. And in general, I think it was very, very hard for German bands in general to break into the American or British market. You weren't really part of the scene in a way, part of the club, because all the acts that were touring, all the acts that we were listening to, they were all from Britain or the States. Nobody was from Germany except maybe the Scorpions, but that's really the only other band that, ever came from Germany in those days.
Yeah, that's interesting, too, because there's obviously that parallel with Scorpions and Accept being from Germany and having broken in America. But you have told me in the past, and I had heard this, too, like when you think of Canada, Triumph and Rush never, ever did a show together. They never toured together. They even played on the same bill together. And obviously two legendary trios from Toronto. You both being from Germany, and I believe the same area of Germany, Scorpions and Accept, you guys never actually, correct me if I'm wrong, you never did a gig together, right?
Well, we did one a couple of years or a few years ago in Finland, an odd gig. Funny enough, we've never toured together. We always thought it would be a great idea, and some people suggested it along the way, and it was close a couple of times, but it never amounted. It never came to fruition.
Well,
Crazy,
Wolf, it is weird, and I don't know if you know this or not, and I know you've got your own schedule coming up and your own dates, which we're going to talk about here in a second, but Scorpions just lost their special guest for their U.S. run. Whitesnake was supposed to do the entire U.S. tour, and Whitesnake just pulled out because David Coverdale's having some health issues. So the slot's open, Wolf. Get on the phone with the agent. You could be better late than never.
Yeah. You never know. I'm going to call it the Rudolph right now, or Klaus.
You better, because there's a spot there, and that would be awesome to have Accept slide right into that middle slot. It's been like 50 years in the making. Let's get it done.
Exactly. Better now than, better late than never. Hey, I'm ready.
I was going to tell you better get on the phone with your wife and tell Gabby, but she doesn't manage the band anymore, right?
That is correct. Yeah, she sort of retired from all that now. But yeah, we'll get on it. We'll get on the horn regardless.
Tell me how that worked all those years, having your wife as the band's manager, because there are instances of that, whether it's Sharon managing Ozzy or Geezer Butler's wife manages Geezer, Zach Wild's wife manages Zach. So there are examples of it, and sometimes it works quite well, sometimes it doesn't. For Accept, it lasted for decades. Gabby was really an integral part of the band and the success, and even in some cases the songs, right?
Yeah, that's right. She wrote a lot of the lyrics. She had a lot of most of the album cover ideas, artwork. She did all of the marketing. I mean, she was really more than part of the team. She kind of was the team and the boss. And, without her, this band probably wouldn't have existed early on. Of course, now she can afford to retire because it's working, it's running, and we have a great replacement, Antje from Germany also, but, also a female, also, from Germany, and things are going great. But that's only because, we built up this sort of company or machine, and it's working fine now. But yeah, she was definitely involved, heavily involved, especially in the early years, for sure.
In the early years, did she write a lot of Accept lyrics because she had a better grasp on English than Udo did, or because it was just something that everybody felt she was doing a better job at the time?
Yeah, both. Udo's English wasn't very good, and also she had great ideas for lyrics and such, and we didn't. We like to make music. We had great ideas for riffs, but when it came to lyrics, she was definitely way ahead of us and had some great ideas. And, so absolutely, it was out of necessity, basically. We had actually worked with a couple of people who corrected our English, because basically in those days we took a dictionary to write lyrics, if you know what I mean. Our English was really, really poor. And some would say mine is really still poor, but
I don't think so, but
with that ghostwriter, it only worked so. He helped us write some or correct some lyrics, and that's when she stepped in eventually,
When you mention riffs, I mean, in my opinion, you're responsible for some of the greatest riffs in metal history, and maybe none more so than the song Balls to the Wall, which is just one of the most gigantic riffs still to this day. Can you take me and my audience back to when you wrote that riff, when it came to you and making that song? Because it was the breakthrough for Accept in the U.S. I know there were records previous to it, but that was the one that really put you on the map. And to this day, I will go to concerts and I will hear bands blast that out of the PA before they come on, and it still sonically sounds so good, and the song and the riff is so huge. Did you realize that at the time when you wrote that back in the early 80s? Can you take me back to where that came from and coming up with that riff?
No. The funny thing is it came together so quickly, it was almost scary. I remember writing it in my bedroom at my parents' house. I was still living at home, believe it or not. And I just wrote it, put it on a cassette tape, and brought it to the guys. And the song was, I don't know, half finished maybe. I had the hook line, I had the chorus. And then I took it to the guys, and within like 30 minutes we finished it. Peter had the idea to how the verse should go. And bum, 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 it almost fell in place so easily that it was scary. I remember thinking, wait a minute, guys, are we fooling ourselves? Is this somebody else's song that we just sort of memorized in the back of our heads? And just possibly, does it already exist? Because there was something about it that made me, a little suspicious that it might be not our idea.
Did you have that riff knocking around for a while? Or or was it very fresh at the time?
It was very fresh. It just sort of happened. It's like you take a guitar and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom, comes a little riff. Funny enough, that riff only happens once in the whole song. Usually when we have a riff, it happens again after the chorus, happens again towards the end, da-da-da-da-da. But this one riff that everybody refers to and everybody knows, it's really only kind of briefly in the song in the beginning, oddly enough.
Yeah, I never thought about that until you said that, but it's really just the opening of the song, and then it goes into a different place. I never realized that.
Yeah, me neither. But one day somebody said it, and it only happens once. It's weird. Yeah, true. It's crazy, isn't it?
You know, I think people forget there were a number of years where Accept were inactive. You tried a different singer at one point on a record, it didn't work.
Right.
You tried a reunion, it didn't work. It didn't last. Right. You did some different things, and the band, I guess it's 15 years or so ago, was kind of in a limbo spot. And I've told this story many times because your current singer is a dear old friend of mine from New Jersey, Mark Tornillo, and he's amazing guy, but we knew Mark in New Jersey for decades from being on the club circuit with various bands and his band TT Quick and all of that. And I will never forget the day that Mark came to my house. And he said, I got to tell you something. And I said, what? And he said, I'm going to join Accept. And I said, what? I said, I didn't even think they were still going. He goes, yeah, they're going to relaunch. And he had some demos at the time from Blood of the Nations that he had sung on and all of that. That's what, going back like 15 years ago or something, right?
Yeah, that's about right. I think it was 2008 or 2009 when we first started doing the first demos. And I think the album came out in 2009. Something like that. Yeah, goddamn, it's almost 13, 14, 15 years ago now. Crazy. This has been the longest... I mean, Mark's been in the band way longer than Udo ever was in one go, basically, you know, because there's so many... Even back in the 80s, Udo had left the band, and we took him back in the early 90s. So that this is actually a more consistent time than ever in that regard.
Can you talk about the circumstances at that time of putting Accept back together? Were you kind of kicking the tires a bit about doing it again if you found the right person, or was it going to be, something that you were totally committed to doing, or were you just kind of like dancing around it and kind of feeling it out a little bit at the time?
Kind of none of the above. We weren't even thinking about relaunching Accept because we had sort of put the whole chapter, the whole thing to bed because Udo said he was no longer interested. He has his own band and it was out of the question. And it would all happen because I was jamming with Peter one day. And we were just playing some old songs for fun, and somebody suggested that there's a singer in the area who would be perfect for us to join us for this jam session. And he was the singer in this band TT Quick, and we remember hearing about him, and he had a sort of kind of similar voice to Udo, so we thought, yeah, hey, why not? This might be fun. And Mark thought the same thing. You know, he didn't. None of us ever thought it would amount to anything. It wasn't an official audition or anything. It was really just a jam session for fun. But when that jam session happened, it changed everything because within a few minutes, Peter and I looked at each other, and I remember thinking like, wait a minute, here's our chance. Why don't we, think about relaunching Accept? Because it sounded so perfect. And we realized that Mark can deliver any of the old material with ease, but he can also do anything we want, any other melodies we come up with, any other song structures, or any songs we would write. So we thought, let's do it. And if we do it right. We make new albums, and we're going to start a whole new chapter. We didn't want to be sort of a legacy act. That's the one thing we knew right from the get-go. We didn't want to just live off the old glory and play old songs. We wanted to write new songs and new albums.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys have made some great new recent records, some of the best stuff in Accept's catalog, and it's awesome to hear, including the newest record, Too Mean to Die. So leading into all of that, and now with some of that history behind us, going forward, you have dates. I'm looking at, like, you're still in Europe, but now you're coming to the U.S., and you're kicking off a pretty extensive tour, which starts in Nashville on September 30th and runs in the U.S. through October, and you're going all the 29. Way to pretty much the end of October, pretty much. So tell me about this upcoming run. Is it, are you going to be showcasing the new record, or, because I don't know if you actually got to play the new record too much, given that, if I'm not mistaken, there was still a lot of COVID stuff happening when it came out, right?
Yeah, that's right. We released it in the middle of COVID, so no, we haven't done a proper tour for it. As a matter of fact, these European dates that we're doing right now is the first time we're ever playing some of this new material. So yeah, the U.S. run that we're going to do I think it starts September 29th and goes to
29, yes.
October 29th. And if you want to check out dates, it's all on our website, exceptworldwide.com. So this is going to be the first proper tour we're doing in the U.S. in forever, and in 10 years, I believe. So this is going to be very, very exciting. And also, it's going to be the first time that we ever come in with 3 guitar players, because that's the newest lineup of Accept. We have a new member in the band, Phil Schaus. He's the 3rd guitar player now, and this is a lot of fun for us because it really sounds killer. Because we've never played with 3 guitar players, but now we do, and it's fantastic.
Well, I know Phil quite well, and I know of his background as well, and I've seen you guys in this lineup recently, and it's unbelievably powerful. Why was that appealing to you, Wolf, as the original member in the band and the prominent guitar player in the band? Why was it important for you to have 2 other players joining you on stage, and how do you break that up as far as who plays what?
Well, like these things sometimes happen. It really happened by chance because we did a tour with a big orchestra all through Europe, and Uwe, the original guitar player for the last 10 years, he was not available for that run. So we hired Phil to be their stand-in, and he did a fantastic job. And during that tour, I discovered how well we play together and what a nice guy Phil is. And we all realized it would be a shame to sort of not have him in the band anymore, or not have Uwe in the band. So we thought, well, why can't we have both? And we tried it out, and it sounds fantastic. Everybody loves it. It's a great package. And we can play stuff that we couldn't do before, like overdub parts from the studio. And we went through the old catalog and really found parts for everybody to play. It's fantastic. I never thought it would be great because there's not too many bands out there who do it. And it really works well, much, much better than I would have thought.
You're getting a lot of Americans in Accept these days between Mark and Phil.
Tell me about it.
Becoming a bit of a blend there. You're gonna get thrown out of Germany, I think.
Well, it's 3 and 3 at this point, but hey, it's all good.
There you go. Well, like you said, you've got 30 years in America yourself at this point. So, again, everybody can find all the dates for Accept, and I can't recommend more highly going to see them. I saw you guys, I guess it was a little over a year ago at M3 with this lineup. I saw you in Texas at a show I hosted that you were on, and it's just so powerful and so many great songs. Again, the website is exceptworldwide.com. You hit the tour tab, you'll see the dates. As Wolf said, starts September 29th in Nashville and runs for a month, and all the major cities are in here, and some great clubs and theaters are in here too, so be sure to go check the guys out, and it'll be a great night of riffage and metal and 3 guitar attacks. So you'll have a great night, no doubt. Listen, man, it's great to talk to you for a bit. Any new music coming? Have you started thinking about that, or still kind of on the cycle for the current record?
No, actually, I'm sitting here with guitar in hand, and I was just riffing a little bit before we talked and laying down some little bits and pieces every day. That's the way I work. I always collect little ideas here and there as they fly into my head without thinking much, and then save it for later and then go through it again at some later point. But at this point, I'm just collecting anything that comes my way.
Nice. Well, say hello to your wife and say hello to the guys, and I'll certainly catch you at 1 or 2 of these shows when you get back to the U.S., and I know it's late there in Europe, so I'll let you enjoy your evening. Thanks for the time, Wolf.
You got it. Thanks, my man. See you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
You got it. Bye-bye.
Wolf Hoffmann, everybody from Accept, checking in on Trunk Nation, and I'm serious about that. If you've not seen that band lately, I know it's down to just one original member, but Wolf and that guitar tone, and it just massive. And now with 2 other guitar players, and Mark sings the hell out of the old stuff, and now they got 4 or 5 studio records with Mark singing. It's a real great balance of material, and it's a real good night of metal. So I definitely recommend going to see Accept if you get the opportunity, and there's a date coming your way.